So, welcome back to everyone, and with me in the studio today is Antoni Liang,
Hmm.
and I'm, of course, David Cooper. And Antoni, I'd like to talk to you about how difficult our units should be, and possibly how difficult they actually are. So, this is a question that students are often very engaged with. Um, Particularly, I see on Reddit all the time, students asking in slightly panicked tones, how difficult is this unit going to be? Um, so,
Yeah, fair.
I think you have some thoughts about this. How do we know if a unit is too hard or too easy?
All right. Okay, so we are talking about the spectrum of difficulty, right?
Mm.
Okay, I think let's go for the too easy. If it is too easy, they are not learning anything.
Mm.
Yeah. So, uh, okay, let's say that you pass a unit. Okay, whatever unit it is. After you do the final exam, and then someone asks you, "What did you learn?"
Mm.
I don't know. I just pass. Okay, then I think it become kind of in the area too easy. Yeah, but at the same time, if it is too hard, okay, like really really hard, and somehow they still pass. If you ask the same question, I say, hey, oh, you passed the unit. What did you learn? I don't know. I just memorized everything
Mm.
because it's too hard. So they don't know what to learn Excel, so they just memorize like almost everything
Yeah,
just to pass it.
that's interesting. So your perspective is that you get rote memorization in both cases if it's
In a
too
way.
easy and if it's too hard.
Yeah, if it is too easy, there's no challenge. So they are not learning much. Yeah. So they will think, oh, actually, it's not that hard. So, like for example, if you do C programming, and let's say that in that one semester you never get segmentation full,
Mm.
then it's too easy. Then most likely that you are not practicing enough.
Yeah.
But if it is too hard, so it's like, okay, you must know everything, like everything about Linux, everything about C, like all this small detail here and there, and you cannot bring any note to the final exam,
Yeah.
it become a memory test.
Yeah.
And once again, you are not really learning. So it has to be somewhere in the middle.
So I guess being if the problem is that they're being forced into rote memorization somehow psychologically, what we want them to do is to go a bit higher up the cognitive chain, as it were, and try to get them to understand the concepts. So
Yes, yeah. So it's like that balance. So it means that they need to understand what it is,
mm,
but at the same time, we also need to make it clear what exactly we want them to understand.
mm,
So maybe I will give like one example. Let's say in my unit, Unix and C
yeah,
programming. Uh, so I already give them like a practice exam. Yeah, so it's already there. The practice exam is there, and in that practice exam, the format is clear.
mm,
Like for example, in one of the question is like about file I/O.
yeah,
Okay, so I will give it, hey, this is like small text file. Okay,
yeah,
like maybe a bunch of number or bunch of words. Okay, like string, and then so in the practice test, maybe something like, okay, I give you some integer. Okay, read the number, and then maybe do addition. Okay, so
yeah,
this plus this number.
yeah,
So there is a practice exam.
mm,
In the actual one, it might be float number.
yeah,
Okay, so and then I might ask them, okay, I give you number, I give you a real number, and then you must tell me which one is larger,
yeah,
or are they equal. So it's not the same question,
mm,
but the context is clear. So okay, this question is file I/O.
yeah,
So it means they need to understand how to do file I/O. So they need to know how to open the file. Okay, they need to know which function to use to
yeah,
read the data. Yeah, it can be,
yeah,
I don't know, fscanf or fgetc, depending
yeah,
on the question. So basically, they need to think that, okay, I need to know how to solve this. But at the same time, it is also, I think, in my opinion, is fair because it's clear it's file I/O. Okay, so it's not
yeah.
like some
We're not
surprise
tricking
question.
them in any way.
Exactly,
Yeah,
it's not a trick question or
yeah,
something like, okay, you know it'll be file I/O.
yeah,
But what kind of question? Okay, you don't know. That's why you
yeah.
need to understand
Yes.
how to do file I/O. That's
There's the context probably is quite important there. So it's that they're not able to just memorize the answer and just write it down, but at the same time, they do have the context which helps, I guess, with all the memory that whether they're so they're not going to, if they've really understood and they've done the practical exercises beforehand and prepared properly, they're not going to they're not going to go way off to the left and do some really strange things with some obscure C functions.
Oh, yes, that's true.
They're going to know what the context is. The context being constrained is going to...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the keyword, the constraint. So it's kind of like it'll be around this area. Yeah, but you still need to know what exactly is happening in this area. Yeah, instead of like, okay, it's the whole lecture 5, which is like, well, I don't know, maybe like 60 slides or something, and then it become too much.
Yeah.
So this kind of like in terms of the assessment, in terms of that mid-test or final exam, so I always make it clear what the context is. Okay, yeah. Or for example, like the mid-test, it might be something like, okay, question 1 will be about finding mistake. Okay, I will give you a code, find what the problem is.
Yeah.
That is actually pretty broad. Yeah, but once again, if you practice, okay, like from lecture 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll be fine.
I feel like the finding problems one is really good because you get better at it the more you just write code in general.
Exactly. So
Of course you're going to come across a lot
the
of
best
mistakes.
teacher is experience, right?
Yeah.
So we all agree with it. So it's not something that, okay, let me just memorize everything. Yeah, even you memorize everything, but try to finding mistake will not be really helpful anyway. So you need to have the experience, then you can see what the problem is.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think so. There's a thing kind of like how I think like what a unit should be. So once again, so if we come back to the question, so yeah, it has to be in the middle, challenging enough so they think, but not too broad, so that they resort to just memorize everything.
Yeah, not so broad that they panic, I guess.
Exactly.
You want them to engage their brain, not to just kind of run away in fear.
Exactly. So, because I think learning should be enjoyable. So it means that you must enjoy the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if it become a fear of like, oh, I think I know what happened, but this is too hard. I just want to pass now. Okay, then now it's change the perspective. That I don't want that. So I just want to make it clear that if you practice, definitely. Okay, I would not say 100%, but most likely you will pass if you practice.
Yeah.
So then it will give like the balance between the effort and the reward. So it's like, okay, if you practice, okay, most likely you will pass. So
which is where we want it to be, I guess. What do you tell students if I assume you probably get students coming to you with this question? What do you tell them when they ask you for the answers to like the practical problems?
Okay. This is I know that this is something that has been a long discussion, I think, for many years. So do we give the answer to the practical, right? Okay, so I will use Unix NC program as an example. In my case, I don't give them the practical answer. Yeah, although I actually give them like the pre-lab exercise explanation. Yeah, so there's like pre-lab and the lab itself. Yeah, so the pre-lab I actually give them like the explanation. Yeah, but I still tell them, okay, but please try it first. Okay, so this is just for comparison. For the actual practical question, I don't give them the answer, but I give them another example. They are like roughly, in the same area, not the same question, but roughly in the same context.
Yeah.
And I give them a sample code for it. Yeah, so I can just like, okay, if you're really stuck, have a look at this different example, but kind of similar in some context, in some aspect. Have a look at the code, run it, and then do something, modify it, break it, until you understand this, and then come back again to the practical lab. Yeah, so they have something as a reference.
That's a good idea, I think, because you giving them the actual answer to the question at hand is going to kind of short circuit or like in their minds it's going to make the problem solving unnecessary. That's what I always worry about. So if you give them an answer to a slightly different question effectively, then you're not dispensing with the problem solving because the problem is still there, but you're giving them another stepping stone, I guess.
Yeah,
in a
that's
way.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like learning by example, right?
Mm.
Or some people say, oh, like the visual learner. Although in this case, it's not really visual, but it's just like, okay, I give you just another example,
Yeah.
okay, and use it. I actually kind of want to do this also for other unit as well. Although at the moment I haven't done it for the other unit, so it's only for Unix and C programming at the moment. But this kind of what I'm planning for the other as well. So that it's not like just okay, this is the whole answer. I don't want to do that, but it's more like okay, I give you another example. Use that for learning. So it's kind of like machine learning context in a way. So it's like I give you some training data, learn from
Yeah.
that, and then test it on the actual practical. So something like that.
I mean, that is how we learn. We get trained, and
Exactly.
we need training data.
Yeah. Because I actually talked to actually like quite a lot of students like for many years, right? So sometimes I ask them like, hey, how is it going? Not just for my unit, but also like, oh, how are the other units? Like, are you okay with it? So I think one of the I will not say complaint, but it's just like a feedback. So like, oh yeah, I like this unit, or I like that unit, but it will be better if we have more example, or something around that concept. Okay, so it's like if we have a bit more, just show us some sample or some example or I don't know some kind that we can follow on. It'll be much easier for us to learn this. So this,
I've heard that one a lot.
exactly.
I'm not sure what you take away from it. What I worry about is that the students are complaining that they have to think about the problem.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, though. So
Yes.
you have to think about it.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you go along and you just expect the answers to be given to you and for you to just kind of memorize the form of them, and then you come to a unit where that you just can't get past the unit if you try it that way, because there's this gap there where there's a difference between the resources that students are given and the deliverables they're expected to produce. And that's kind of what we want, because we want students to figure out how to get across that gap for themselves.
That's true.
But yeah, what do you tell students about that? What do you tell students when they ask to just be given the answers?
Okay, so usually I tell them, I mean, if they are just, oh, do you have the answer for the practical? So yes, sorry, I cannot give you that. But if you want, okay, let's say assuming this is on the practical scenario, then if you want, I can give you another example, like right now,
Yeah.
so that you get the idea.
So you steer them towards the
Yeah.
doing it yourself a bit.
Just kind of something else to look at, so that you learn from it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that,
definitely.
but I mean, I understand it because we are teaching at the university level, right, where we assume everyone is already adult. So and obviously that come with the expectation that you should be more like independent.
Yeah.
But of course, at the same time, we cannot just tell them like, oh, just read the documentation. I think that is also not really the best answer as well, because if you just
Yeah.
okay, just read the documentation. To be honest, I think it doesn't really help, especially first year student. So
Yeah.
I think instead of just give them the documentation, which can be pretty overwhelming to read, just give them example, okay, and then start from there.
I agree with you on that one. Like it is good to get to a place where you can just look at the documentation, but it does take a lot of confidence building to get there and a lot of background learning to get there.
Exactly.
So we can't expect them to do that, at least not as their sole means of obtaining information, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, unless they have like the simplified documentation, then it will help. But if it is just like the official one, which is a really good documentation, it's very comprehensive, but it's not beginner friendly, to be honest.
Is with a lot of those bits of documentation, it's very hard to know where to start if you don't know anything.
Exactly.
You already have to know quite a lot in order to be able to use the documentation.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a bit of a trick. How do you think we're doing overall as a university, I guess? Do you think that our units tend to be a bit too easy or too hard, or are they mostly hitting the mark?
There is Okay, that is quite interesting.
Yeah.
um, okay. Oh, is it just like computing only, or is it like
Oh,
all?
well, just of what you've seen, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I think maybe from my perspective, I can only speak maybe on mostly on the computing area. Uh, okay, maybe I will start from my own unit first.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm doing like Unix and C programming, and then I also did like Unix system programming, and this semester I came back again to foundation of computer science. And in the past, I did computer graphics, so like basically like all these different units. I would say that my unit is not too hard to pass. But assuming you practice, of course. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you never attend the lecture, you never do the practical, then there's a good chance you will not really pass. But if you at least do all this, you do the practical, you do the practice exam, the practice test. Okay, you get the idea. Then I would say you should be able to pass quite easily. Yeah, but to get higher distinction, there's another story. Then in that case, you need to really, really, practice it. Yeah. Okay, but that's for my unit. But for overall, yeah. So once again, I have talked to some student, right?
Yeah,
like,
so I
like,
threw you a curveball there. I don't want you to start an argument with
no,
everyone.
no, no. I will not say that which particular unit. But from what I see, that I would say that usually they have this idea like, I enjoy the unit, I learned something, but for the final exam, they are. To be honest, I think they don't worry too much. Yeah. So it's not because they don't know the content, but it's more like it's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and usually sometimes the final exam maybe because they don't have the note, they are not allowed to bring the note, so they just kind of like, okay, let me just memorize everything, which I kind of feel is a bit of pity because like they're already learning well, but just the final step, they just come back to memorization again.
Yeah.
So, but I think overall we are, I think, doing pretty well from what I see. Yeah, I think especially after the capstone project, everything from what I see. I mean, at least from the presentation I have seen so far, they're doing well, I would say. So
Do you reckon there's a tendency for students to believe that rote memorization is the thing to do if they can't see a way forward? Like that's the
yeah, it just kind of like because they don't want to fail, obviously. So
Yeah.
they I want to pass it because if you fail, you have to repeat again. You have to pay the money again. So I think it's just like they just use the memory, just like, oh, at least I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already learned something here, but because I don't want to fail, to reduce that risk, I just memorize it.
It feels like it's treated as the low risk option, doesn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, let's put it that way. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's kind of in a way like okay, this is a bit different story, but let's say in financial literature, like putting your money in the bank is like the easiest, but in terms of the financial growth, it's also one of the lowest. Yeah.
Your lowest
Yeah, it's
return.
like low risk, low reward.
Yes.
Yeah. While if you go for something else, maybe like higher risk but also higher reward. So the memorization is kind of like, it's like the most obvious way. It's like, okay, at least I don't fail with this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like on the low risk, low. Okay, I would not say low reward. It's still passing reward, so which is good,
Yeah.
but it's kind of lower risk. Instead of, okay, let me try to understand everything. But when I see the exam question, it's something that I don't remember.
Yeah, that's
And-
the thing. The problem is that it's only the perception of low risk, not
yeah.
the actuality of low risk.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
because
I like the analogy though; it's an interesting one.
yeah, so that's kind of how I feel. That's why like for my unit is I allow them to bring a double-sided note.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, write whatever you want, type whatever you want,
Yeah.
as long as you know how to solve the problem. Okay, like the exam question.
Maybe
So-
maybe it is just a matter of trying to take the panic out of the process and
Something like so. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, you don't need to worry about forgetting the name of the function, for
Yeah.
example. So it's kind of, okay, you can write the name of the function, that's fine. But
Yeah.
the question is, do you know how to use it?
yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so because that's more important. Because, okay, let's be honest, even for us or even for the people in the professional industry, they still Google a lot of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, what's this function again? Okay, let me Google it.
Yeah.
That still happens. So Googling is not a taboo. It's normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's more about, okay, do you know how to use it? Okay. If something went wrong, do you know how to fix it? That is
Yes.
more important.
Once you've looked up the reference information, do you then have the mental tools to put them into some sort of order?
Exactly. So that's why I feel like I think memorization shouldn't be. I mean, yes, you need to memorize something, yes, of
Yeah.
course, but not to the point that you just memorize it, but you totally forget like the deeper meaning of it.
Yeah,
So
all of the connections that you make inside your brain that are the reason that you've come here, I guess.
exactly. Yeah, and actually, it happened to me when I was a student, like long ago. I think this unit doesn't exist anymore. So it's like, I think it was on my first year actually. So I remember there was one unit. Okay, I totally forget the name of the unit. Yeah, it's just that bad. So I even forget the name of the unit.
It's a bit traumatic.
Yeah, in a way, yes, because like after I passed the unit.
Mhm.
And when I try to recall, I say, what exactly did I learn? I mean, it's not zero, but it's kind of like, it feels like I just learned how to memorize better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, I did learn this thing and that thing, but I cannot see the correlation. So it's
Yes.
just like, okay, I remember there's this thing exists. Okay, I remember this thing exists. But how they are connected?
You can't do anything with that. It's
Exactly.
just not a
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah, so okay, if I give an example, it's as if, like, for example, you learn C programming. Okay, you know what pointer is, you know what array is, but you cannot find the connection.
Yes.
Then, if there's a case, it's kind of pointless. If you cannot find that connection, then there was
What
a
have you
point of
done?
learning
Yeah.
this. Yeah, so that's what I feel like. This is back in 2007.
Yeah.
So long. Okay, so I think one experience that actually basically formed my mindset of teaching. So it's like, okay, I don't want my student to feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want my student to actually learn something.
Definitely.
Okay, I don't expect them to know everything, but I expect them to know few concept really well, to the point that they can find the connection themselves. Okay, and then when they go for the next semester, or even to the industrial, and they are using that concept, they already know what to do.
Yeah.
So,
That's what we came here for. I think we might wrap it up there.
yes. Oh, yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, and I hope people have not panicked and tried to memorize what we said.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah, and don't be afraid to use Google. Okay, that's fine. That's
Exactly.
perfectly fine.
exactly.